ACA Small Business Bootcamp for today, this Thursday, September 30th. Can't believe it's the end of September, how fast time is flying by. We're glad to be here with you. I'm Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and the Vice President of Small Business Services here at the Arizona Commerce Authority. And as we like to do, we like to start by thanking all of our community partners. We could not do these boot camp sessions without our community partners, their time, their effort, and their expertise. So for those that aren't familiar, the Small Business Bootcamp is designed to help small businesses work through the COVID crisis or return stronger than ever. It is a statewide initiative supported by all of our community partners. And not only is it just the webinars on every Tuesday and Thursday morning, it is also a resource collective and a content library. So let's dive into those other two pieces there. So the resource collective, the link for this can be found on the Bootcamp website, and it will take you to some additional tools and guides provided by our community partners to help support small businesses. Additionally, over the past year and a half of doing boot camps, we have nearly 160, 170 different recorded webinar sessions that have created a massive content library of expert material. And you can access these on the archive section of the website. It's down at the very bottom of the website. And there's no cost to view these recordings. You can find topics that you may have missed or want to review again. And you can also find these slide decks from our presenters and review all that material, or share it with others that may be of interest in learning learning that information. So it's a great resource available, and again, at no cost to anybody that wants to review it. Additionally, the state has put together a couple of different websites. First, the ArizonaTogether.org is the state's COVID information and resource page. And then the Arizona Commerce Authority set up the azcommerce.com/COVID-19 for COVID-19 business resources. And you can find business guidance and financial information, funding information, and other great business information on that website as well. Additionally, the ACA has a number of programs that help support small businesses, not just during the pandemic, but all anytime. We have our small business services, our workforce division, and our Arizona MEP, the Arizona Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Another program we've had for a long time that is extremely successful is the Small Business Checklist. And this is an online interactive checklist to help people looking to start a small business or grow the small business identify commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal levels. And it also includes a lot of other great information as you're looking to start or grow your business. We also like to get into some updates. And so just a reminder, PPP loan forgiveness. If you got a PPP, you do have to apply. I can't stress this enough that if you got the first go around of PPP, your time limit is probably due or coming due, and you need to make sure that application for forgiveness is in so it doesn't turn into a full-fledged loan. Another program, the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program for COVID, has been expanded. The limits were bumped from $500,000 up to $2 million. And you can apply, if you received an EIDL, you can apply and request a review to expand your loan if that is needed. Or if you didn't apply, you can still apply for the COVID program. And you can also, if you're in an area of Arizona that was impacted by flooding, you may also be eligible to apply for an EIDL loan because of that flooding. So that is also an option. Another program that we like to remind people of, because of the amount of funding that's available through it, is the Employee Retention Credit. This is a great program, though it is tricky and complicated. So you'll definitely want to get with your accountant or someone experienced with this program. And then last but not least is just a reminder, the Small Business Development Centers are available at no cost to help support you in your business. And we're excited because we have one on today for our presentation, one of their expert analysts, so we will get to that shortly. Links for all these programs will be posted in the chat, so if you want to click on them and see where it takes you, that information is in the chat. So a quick look ahead, we've got the next 2 weeks, got some great presentations. We're having another cybersecurity presentation on Tuesday with some tips and tricks to help prevent being foiled by con artists this holiday season. Then we have the workforce employers want. This is focusing on the Arizona Office of Economic Opportunity and Arizona work on the programs they have for employers to help you reskill, upskill, and train your employees. So there's great information with that one. And then we follow up with techniques to reduce stress and burnout. Got a new presenter that hasn't been with us. We're excited about that session. And then end the year strong with 5 tactics to end the year in high gear. We're looking forward to that as well. So we've got a lot of great sessions. You can see we're getting up there in numbers, 194. We're excited because on November 4th will be our 200th bootcamp session, and we've got some special things planned for that one as well. So we are excited about all the coming sessions. We've got a great lineup planned through the rest of the year. So with that, we want to turn our time over to Nancy Hahn. Nancy is a business analyst at the Maricopa Small Business Development Center. She's got a great presentation for us today. So Nancy, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let you jump right in and get started. While Nancy's pulling up her screen and getting started, we ask that for questions, you use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And we're going to have some interaction during this presentation as well in the chat.
All right, Robert, can you see my screen?
Screen looks perfect.
Okay, great, good. Well, thank you for inviting me today. I'm really excited. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And one of the things that I want you to really think about, if you think about nothing else today from this seminar, is the exit or the end point in the future of your business, because a lot of people just don't think about it until it's too late. And the nice thing about thinking about it, even if it doesn't work out completely as you hope, you're building your business toward that day. So it gives you a really good solid path toward accomplishing that goal of eventually handing it over, hopefully as a viable business, and that you don't just have to close the doors. So okay, that just got stuck there. As Robert said, my name is Nancy Hahn. I'm a business analyst with the SBDC. And I've been asked to present this today because I personally have had several small businesses that I've bought and sold and did not know what I was doing at that time. I managed to get it done, but I did use a business broker at one point. That was so much easier. And then I became a business broker for a couple of years. So I got to see not only the buy side, but the sell side, and then what lenders look for. So I've had a lot of experience with this, and I'm really happy to be able to share that with you. And I'm just going to go over a few things about the SBDC. I know when I was a small business owner, I wasn't aware of the SBDC. I wish I had been. And I encourage all of you to really kind of take advantage of it, because it's actually a service that provides no fee counseling. So there's no charge for you to be able to sign up with a counselor. And we have a national and statewide network. So we're not only here in Maricopa County, but we're all throughout the country. So there's services available wherever you are. Here locally, we have 10 service centers in Arizona, and then in Maricopa County, we have right now 15 counselors. They all have different backgrounds, and we are working virtually. So it's very, very simple for you to be able to work with any of us in any location. And we're able to provide these services because we're actually funded at the federal level by the Small Business Administration. And we're typically hosted through the community colleges. This one is the Maricopa Community College for this location. And then we also partner with the Arizona Commerce Authority, which has graciously hosted this today. And at the SBDC, what's nice about it is we can assist you at any point in time when you have a challenge that you need to overcome, or What we really like to do is help you from start to finish, or wherever you're at with your business, because we can help you with so many different areas. And we're more like coaches too. We are, your accountability partner. And so that's what the most fantastic thing about it is you actually can see, progress with different areas that you may not feel like you had time for in the past. But we can help you with business planning, financial skills development, sales and marketing, operations. We have specialists in international trade. We have manufacturing specialists, technology. And what's really great is that we also can provide you with capital assistance. We're funded through the SBA. So obviously they would like to see the economy grow through, financial acquisition and capital assistance. So we can help you actually prepare your loans and your loan packages. We work closely with all of the SBA providers. We have tools to be able to develop your business plans that are going to be required for capital and financial projections. And we have a lot of very, very specialized bankers that have a great deal of information that can help you with not only, SBA loans, but any kind of financing. It doesn't matter where you're at with your progress. We also have lender referrals, like I mentioned, and we can come up with different kinds of funding strategies for you. And the purpose of the program today is that we are going to talk about the successful exit of your business. And really, like I said before, if you get nothing else out of this, it's that you're going to start to hopefully imagine what that exit is going to look like, and then build your business toward that. So a good place to start is just knowing the value of your business now, or having some kind of an idea, knowing that, if you do want to sell, and a lot of people do rely on the sale of their business for their retirement, you're going to want to know, how do I build the value toward that day when I want to be able to walk away and kind of count on being able to walk away with several $100,000 in your pocket, rather than at the end being surprised. So that's why we really encourage you to plan now. And this is the most important part. A lot of times people are focused on starting their business and building their business. And like any project, there's a start, a middle point, and an end point. And, I know it sounds kind of redundant, and it sounds like, of course, everybody must, be thinking about their end point. But I can tell you from being a business broker, a lot of people would just wake up one day and decide that they were ready to sell, and they weren't prepared. And actually, they were often pretty disappointed. So we're going to go over a few topics. We're going to go over the basics today, just, what you need to look for, how do you sell your business? How do you determine a value right now? And then we're going to look at value factors. And this is where I really like to focus, because, it's going to be a reward in the end for you to be able to sell your business and be able to have the money that you had worked so hard for all of your life. Okay. So building the value is also actually building the processes to be able to make owning your business more enjoyable. We'll talk about those in a bit. And then we're going to kind of take a look at where you're at today and where you are hoping to be in the future. And that's, again, where the SBDC can really, really make a difference for you. So we're going to start with the basics. And before we start, if you could just put in the chat, what percentage of businesses do you think actually sell? So you've got all these businesses you see out there. Do you think 100% of those could sell? Do you think at any one point in time, 50% of those businesses could sell? This is a really important question. And I'm not seeing chat. So there's different guesses here, 20%, 50%, 80%. So the average is, it's really more like 30%. but it's between 30 and 40%. So of all the businesses out there, you have only, 60 to 70% that are actually not going to sell. They're going to actually have to close their doors and walk away. And some people, that is their strategy, to eventually just close. And there's a lot of good reasons why somebody would do that. But if you're counting on selling, you want to really be able to make sure that you're a sellable business. And frankly, I used to think that any business was sellable. If you had clients and vendors and, brick and mortar, of course, that's a sellable business. But I was shocked to learn, as I became more familiar with it, that that's just not true. So one of the things that I always like to tell people is, you need to plan right now to be able to sell in the future. And so what I invite you to do is just kind of close your eyes and imagine, like, what does that look like? Do you want to hand this over to your children? Do you want to, build a legacy for them? Do you want to cash out for $1 million? And is that going to be in 10 years or 20 years? So you need to have a picture, even though it may not pan out the way you want it to, but at least it's a start of your ideal long-term plan for your exit. And then actually through this process, you'll begin to understand that at any one point in time, you may have to sell your business immediately because of some kind of emergency or something that comes up. So to be able to at least have an idea of what you need to be able to do to sell, if you do have to sell quickly, which hopefully you won't. So both plans need to be kind of thought about and developed right now. It doesn't matter if you're just starting your business, you've been doing it for a while, or if you're coming toward the end. You really do need to have a plan in mind. So you really don't want to wait until there's an emergency. So here we're going to talk about the two basic ways that you would exit your business. Now, the third way is obviously closing your doors and just selling off. But the two basic strategies are succession, which basically means, maybe you have a child that wants to take over, or maybe there's employees. And many employees would say, why didn't you ask me? I would have loved to have bought your business. So really look at your employees and, make a determination if that might be a better strategy for you. Or you can just sell outright. Now, I always like selling outright because it's easier, it's more, concise, and you're able to get that done, quickly. So, or at least, succession planning is just a very long-term thing. So you've got, if you're planning on having a successor and you want it to be, say, your family members or a child, you really need to have a discussion with them, because frankly, a lot of people don't want to take over a business. It's just not their cup of tea. So you really have to have a heart-to-heart with your children if that's who you're thinking you're going to transition to. Or like I said, employees. Succession isn't really ideal in a lot of situations because there's so many extenuating circumstances. But if you talk to your employees well in advance and see who might be of interest, there's a lot of due diligence then that you have to do to make sure that they're, able to, qualified, there's got to be some financial investment on their part, all of those different things that you need to take a look at. So assessing their skills, that's really important. So you have somebody that says, yes, I want to take this on. And you're going to be, able to, at that point, look at what their skills are, if they need more training, or what you can do is hire around that person to take up the slack of where maybe they're not quite qualified. And then do they have the resources? How is the organization going to react? I mean, a lot of times people, they may react negatively, especially if it's a surprise, to some new leadership, which can cause havoc in your business. And so you don't want that to happen. You want to be able to put somebody in there that's going to be able to lead just like you have led. And then how is this going to affect your financial situation? Because this is really something that is a long-term strategy. You're probably likely going to be doing financing, and you want to make sure that you're tax situation and your retirement situation is included in this kind of planning. And then when is the right time to turn it over? Generally speaking, it's always when the business is doing really well, but kind of in your mind thinking, I want to get it to a point where it's, the revenues are 2 million a year, and then I'll be ready to hand it over. Or I need to just get some things in place to be able to hand it over. So you have to think about the right time, the legal considerations. There's a lot of legal planning that you need to do, and we can also help you with that as far as good resources we can refer to. And then, what condition or value do you want your business to be in at that point in time? And then the other is, selling outright. So you need to really look at why you're going to be wanting to sell at that point. Motivation on both the buyer and the seller's part is really key to any kind of major transaction like this. And this could very well be the biggest one you ever do. So you have to be really excited about your next chapter, or at least know that, well, I'm ready to retire, or maybe I want to start another business. I want to sell this, get the money, start another business. So you have to really understand why you're going to be selling. And then when is the best time to sell? So some of you may be saying, I'm not going to be ready to retire for 10 or 15 years, but keep in mind that a lot of times your business, when it's really doing well, that might be the time to sell. And it could be close enough to your ideal retirement time or whatever. So you have to be a little bit flexible with the timing on this. And then what is my business worth now? And I often will hear people say, they have no idea what their business is worth, and they're a little overwhelmed about how they would even figure that out. So we're going to talk about that, because that is a real important thing. And, we can give you some kind of basic idea of how you formulate the value, which can be helpful. You can also hire appraisers, but that can be pretty expensive. I think they're between $3,000 and $5,000. So you have to be really serious about it at that point. And then, how can you get the maximum value when you go to sell? A lot of times people just do what they're doing and they don't make any changes, and then they're surprised at the end that there's not more value in their business. So you don't want to be caught by surprise, and that's a big point to consider. And then what are the financial implications? That's always something that we encourage people to look at and talk with your CPA, because a lot of times people aren't, they're surprised by the big capital gains, hit that they take. And there are other ways that you can put your money in areas that aren't going to be as impacted by taxes. And then who do you get to help you with your sale? There's, business brokers, obviously, CPAs and attorneys. And then how do you find a buyer? And then how do you actually execute the sale? Now, if you use a business broker, they're going to be doing all that for you, but that's not the only way that you have available to you for to be able to sell. So like I said, most people don't know what the value of their business is. And as a business broker, time and time again, I would walk in and people had no idea, number one, what their business was worth. And they often had their own idea of what it was worth, which was just a very, it was a big shot in the dark, because they had really no idea. And if somebody thinks it's worth 700,000 and somebody tells them, no, it's more worth like 200, that's a big shock to them. And you don't really want to be in that position when that time comes. You want to be ahead of the game and, at least have some idea what your business is worth. So one thing I want to put out there, and is very important, is, value is in the eye of the beholder. So it's really very subjective. But what you want to do is get to a point within the negotiations that both parties are happy with the outcome. So it's a moving target. You could have 5 different appraisers or valuation experts give you their idea of what the value is. It's all going to be probably somewhere in a range. And that's what you're working off, is a range. So, your expectations need to be flexible, and that will make it much easier for you when you do go to sell, because stubbornness can lead you to ending up having to just liquidate. And there's a lot of different ways that people think that you value a business. And and all of them have their own value, but we're going to look at a couple of the common things that I've seen out there. Number one, a lot of the brokers here, especially in Arizona, use what's called seller's discretionary income, or SDE. And that's kind of just looking at your cash flow after you take out all your personal expenses. And then there's a multiple of 1 to 3 times. Now that's that is flexible as well. It depends on what kind of business you're in, but the national average is around 2.27, just to keep that in mind. Other people look at EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That's very common in other parts of the country, as well as in larger organizations. Some people mistakenly think revenues have a lot to do with the value of their business. And unfortunately it doesn't, because if you think about it, you could be spending as much as you're earning, and then there's no cash flow. And so there is really no value. But I remember somebody saying that Dave Ramsey had said on the radio that, you know, your business is usually worth 5 times annual revenues, or I don't know. I'm sure they were probably mistaken at that point, but you know, people come up with really crazy ideas about how you value your business, and it's not revenues. So goodwill does have a lot to do with it, but that's a flexible, you know, kind of moving target as well. Future potential, yeah, future potential is great, but that doesn't really add value to the point in time when you're ready to sell, unfortunately. And then market value. I like market value because, you know, if you keep an eye on market value, you can kind of get an idea or build an idea. So the thing we're going to look at today is to be able to assess where your business is right now as far as value. Now, again, this is a very loose formula, and it's just going to give you something to think about. So what the bottom line is like banks are going to look at how much is this business generating in net profit, cash flow, SDE, whatever you want to call it. So they're going to look at, can it pay the loan back, and can it afford a lifestyle that the person buying it is used to? So they're going to look at cash flow. Business brokers will come in and they're going to look at cash flow. So if your business, after, and this is a good analogy. So if somebody were to come in and take over your business, and they were somewhat as good as you, what could they put in their pockets every month? So that's kind of the number you're going to be thinking about. What can somebody put in their pocket at the end of the month? That is roughly their cash flow that they're going to be looking at. And you can look at your tax returns and your P&Ls, go through and you can add in and add back. Now, when you're adding into your net profit, those are things like, you know, your personal car, or, you know, anything that you run through the business on a personal level. If you're going to take out, that could be like rent that you're, maybe you own the building and you don't pay rent. Well, a buyer is going to come in and they're going to pay rent. So you need to add back into the bottom line whatever that person is going to accrue as an expense for themselves that you may not have. So that's a basic formula there. And then you can just multiply it. You know, the national average is 2.27. Now, this is different for different businesses, but this is what BIZBUYSELL actually has these statistics, and that's kind of what it is over across the country. If your business has more value, and that's what the SBDC can help you with, is, you know, adding more value to your business, which means, you know, just kind of how you have it structured, whether you're completely 100% running the business yourself, or if you've got employees, you know, location, things like that, that add value, you might be able to get closer to the 3 times multiple. And then certain types of businesses like IT, they can get many times multiples on, you know, not only, well, they can get multiples on their revenue as well, or their potential. But one of the things that I really like to do is head people to the BIZBUYSELL.com. That's a very used website here in Arizona. I mean, there's many different ones and you can go to different ones, but BIZBUYSELL is very big here in Arizona. And this, I just brought up a typical business that you might run across. This is a restaurant bar. Now, you may not know this, but restaurant bars are very good businesses and can be very good businesses for cash, cash income. So if a buyer's aware of that, they're going to know that maybe some of these numbers aren't quite as, what they look like. But, this one has $85,000 worth of inventory. They put it in the notes that this is included in the price. Their cash flow looks like it's around 305,000. They're asking 1.4 million. It's not out of the range. There's, room to negotiate. I think you could probably come in a bit lower. But if you look up your particular business and then just kind of keep an eye on it, you can actually do alerts with BizBuySell and look for cash flow. Not all of them will list cash flow, but you'll look at the cash flow and then kind of figure out the multiple. And, does it include inventory? Some businesses don't include inventory, like convenience stores. That's like a separate, purchase outside the purchase price of the business. So that's kind of how we would, determine a rough estimate of your business today. And now we're going to look at, what actually creates value in your business so that you can sell it for the most money possible. And that is revenue growth, the financial management, how well you keep your books, your staffing situation. Do you have systems and processes in place? Is this a turnkey business? That always adds a lot of value. And then what is your reputation? So we're going to look at revenue growth first. That's a really, really important indicator of value in a business. So now not everybody can continue an upward climb in revenue growth. And like last year, some people shot up, and that's not really a true picture. Other people, their revenues really dropped. So that was an event in time that's explainable, and that, hopefully you can recover from and start to build your revenues again, or they're going to level out. But so lenders are always going to be looking at, what is it inclining revenue? That's the very best. Is it flat? That's not so great. And declining revenues is really a killer of value. And it can be, more difficult to get that funded. And then, just making sure, are your profits in alignment? And what's great about the SBDC is we can actually give you national statistics on, profit margins in your business. So if your overhead is really high, we would work toward getting your overhead lower and more in alignment with whatever is a national, standard. And then being informed about your industry trends. So a lot of people are using that word pivot now. A lot of people had to pivot over the pandemic. And that, like with restaurants, they were suddenly doing takeout, and then they ramped that up. And so one industry in particular that has a trend that's really clear to everybody is dry cleaners. I don't know about you, but I haven't been to a dry cleaner in a long time. So people are more getting into wash and wear and things like that. So dry cleaning business really isn't a hot industry. But as a dry cleaner, you could say, well, how can I build value in my business? And you might say, I'm going to do drop-off points. That's a really amazing thing that some dry cleaners have started doing, is they make it really convenient for their clients. They can just drop off at different locations. They don't have to drive to the same location every time. So implementing drop-offs and maybe more, laundry services rather than dry cleaning services. So you want to really take a look at where you think your business is going, and is your business going to be growing with those trends, or do you need to make some changes? And then are you building customer relationships and actively going out and trying to grow your business? Because as a business owner, often you're doing everything in your business, and you really should be out growing your business. I know an attorney who made that decision that she was going to go out and actively meet with people and network, and she hired somebody to do what she had been doing, and she's growing. I mean, that was a really good strategy because she makes a great front person. And most business owners, that's where their forte is a lot of times, is that personal one-on-one interaction and growing their business through relationships. And then monitoring your business reputation. That's really important because a lot of times we, especially as people are nearing retirement, they're not really into what is going on online. But the first place somebody's going to look to see if your business is successful is online. So you need to keep up with your Yelp, your Google My Business. You need to keep up with your reputation there. You need to have a nice website. So when you're going to sell, you have to have all these things in place. And so give yourself plenty of time. I mean, we're talking years to be able to develop all this. And that's, again, where the SBDC can help you. One of the big things that I've seen is that owners reach a point of success and they're exhausted. So they start to cut back and then, they're getting ready for retirement and they are just tired. They don't want to be dealing with a bunch of employees. They don't care what their revenues are. They let it go down because of their own lack of interest or energy to be able to put into their business. And that is the kiss of death for value, because you can't say, well, it used to be that way and it could be again if you just did this, this, and this. It is what it is in that moment. So if you feel like you're getting tired and you want out, sell, especially if if the economy is really good. Right now, businesses are selling. There's like a fervor out there. There's a lot of businesses that are, baby boomer. It's kind of a tsunami effect. But right now people are buying businesses, and for a lot of you, you're doing really well. So if you're doing really well, that could be a time to sell if you think, that you're going to be wanting out shortly. So it's really good to be clear on when that point might be. So another thing that you have to really look at is your financial management. And again, being a business broker, it's one of the hardest things that brokers face is trying to get people actually look at their financials. People just don't have them together. And then trying to decipher what their profits are can be really crazy, especially if you're mixing it with your husband's account, which I've seen, or you're, running everything and the dishwasher through your business. And so you want to make sure that your financials can be easily looked at and identified as being profitable. And that's something that the SBDC can definitely help with. And then having a healthy and consistent cash flow. So if your cash flow is all over the place, there's a problem. And so you need to take a look at that. If you're running on really high margins, you need to take a look at that. So that's where the SBDC can help as well. Yearly forecasting, that's always recommended. A lot of people do not do that, but to be able to project into the future, if you did X, Y, and Z, how would that affect your value? How would that affect your business and revenue growth? And then tax planning and financial advisors. It's really important to have a good trusted CPA. Bookkeepers, are always good to have. And then your attorney, and of course your SBDC partner. And then another factor that adds value is, if you're running the business and you're in the business doing everything, that's not good. That does not add value. I'm sorry. If you're the main guy, somebody else will have to come in and take over all those duties and jobs. If you can either outsource or hire somebody else to do some of the minutia of your business, that adds value. And then if you can hire well and have lower turnover and stability, that also adds value. So ultimately, you want to be able to grow your business to have good people in place doing most of the work, and then you're the front man out there building your business and negotiating and doing those things to help your business grow. Your job should be to help your business grow, not putting the widgets together or answering the phone. And also then that'll give you more time for yourself, which a lot of people, if they're doing everything themselves, they're working constantly. I've had people say they're writing quotes at 3 a.m. I mean, you don't want to be doing that. So the incentive, I think, to building your business to sell is that you will also be building time in your business for yourself. And that's a good thing. So if you have like a family business, you may want to start thinking about replacing them toward the end of that point where you're wanting to sell with actual employees. I had one restaurant that every position was filled by their family members. So, you know, if you sell the business, everybody's leaving. And then what do you have? You have to hire people frantically, train them, you know, nobody wants that. So that's another point that you can kind of take a look at. And then this is a big one too. I always recommend people read The E-Myth. And that is a book that basically talks about, you know, building your business like it's a franchise. So their big emphasis is having everything automated as much as possible, having you know, your operations manual, policies and procedures, your contracts in place. And what that does is it creates that turnkey business, and those are the most valuable. If somebody can come in and there's good people running the business and they're like, you know, just taking over leadership roles, that's a very valuable business. So don't overlook that. And again, we can help you. The SBDC can definitely help you in all those areas. And the reason I bring up contracts, that adds value. And, you know, just think about like, you know, could you create some contracts with your clients? You know, if you can, go ahead and do it. It will help that appearance that you're more valuable. And it could be people, you know, can get out of their contract whenever, but at least you have, I'm thinking like landscape companies and pool maintenance companies, you know, a lot of times they just build these relationships and they don't have contracts, but it would be real simple to get them to kind of commit maybe to a year-long thing where they can get out of it or whatever. So that'll add value. And then this is a big one, reducing your inventory. A lot of people just collect stuff over the years and they think that it's valuable and that anybody coming in is going to want all their, you know, 20-year-old inventory parts and stuff. You want to get really lean and mean with your inventory. You want to make sure that you are, you know, just running on kind of almost an as-needed basis. Automotive shops are doing that now. They don't have inventory. They call up, they get that part delivered, and it's clean. So if you're thinking, well, I have all this inventory and it's worth something to the next buyer, I would think again, really look at it and make sure that you get rid of everything yourself, you know, maybe sell it on the open market so that the buyer can come in and not have to deal with that because they don't want your old inventory, I'm sorry to say. So basically what we're going to cover now is just, you know, assessing and planning from this point on. And that is a very big start. And I'm hoping today that you start to think about exiting your business and then building your business to be able to reach those goals. So we're going to be looking, you know, you already are, you're looking at some of those areas of your business. You know, what does it look like? Buyer? Are you financially prepared to hand over your book, have somebody go through and excuse me, look for the value? Are your revenues growing? If they're not, you know, try to get out there and you know, increase your revenues by networking and promoting and marketing, whatever you need to do. You know, financial management, a lot of people just do not have clean financials. Start cleaning them up. I mean, this could be years-long processes, all of these. And we're here to help you step by step go through that process. Staffing, really kind of take a back step and look at where you're at with your staff. And then definitely systems and processes. And again, the SBDC is definitely here and ready to help you with that. So Robert, I don't know if we have any questions, if you're able to go over some of those right now.
Yes, we have one question in there right now. It's from James. Says 2.27 of what? Income, cash flow, etc.
The cash flow. So you're going to look at, you know, how much money, ask yourself that question. If you were a buyer coming in and doing as good of a job as you are doing right now, you know, how much is going to be in their pocket? And then just take that and come up. I recommend the national average just because that's, you know, it gives you a lot of room to play with. So if you're looking at a 3-time multiple, your business is really doing all these things that we just talked about. It's a very desirable business. If you're a one-man show and you're doing everything, and maybe you show a good profit, that brings down the value, because think about it, buyers don't want to come in and buy a job for themselves. They typically want to own a business. They want something that's generating income, and they're not working on it 24/7. So that number is very flexible, obviously. But if you decide to work with an SBDC counselor, they can help you assess where you're at right now and how to build that value so that maybe you can get closer to a 3-time multiple. The SBDC, like I said, is here to assist you in all those areas. What I like about getting help accessing capital, I mean, right now, a lot of people are looking at buying commercial, because commercial buildings right now are a pretty good value and it's a good investment. And so they need capital to buy their location rather than renting. Another thing is once you go on BizBuySell, you're going to be seeing businesses that are for sale, just to get an idea of where you're at. And so you might run across a business, you think, wow, that looks like a pretty good deal. And we as brokers would always encourage businesses to grow through acquisition. You can grow really fast through acquisition. And if that's your goal, that might be an idea. And we can help you with those capital requirements. And then I really encourage you to, start well before your exit time period, and really hone it in as it gets closer to that day. So, we recommend between 3 and 5 years that you're really focusing on it. But even if it's 10 or 20 years off, to still be building that value, because it'll just be helpful. And if you have to have an emergency sale, you'll be ready. And then, we can help you with, obviously, guiding you with the different value strategies. So the SBDC counseling, for you to be able to have a counselor, you'll go to our website and then you'll request counseling. There's a tab at the top, and then you'll have a counselor assigned to you depending on your needs. And then you'll have an initial meeting with them, and then a series of sessions after that. And we've had clients with us for, years and years, or you can, kind of come and go. Nothing is written in stone about this. It's very, very flexible with you and your schedule. But what I like about working with an SBDC counselor is that we help you track your business growth and your goals. And like I said before, we're accountability partners. I have a lot of times where I've got a meeting scheduled and I know my client has been trying to get everything prepared and ready before that time, so that they can respond, positively with the things that we talked about trying to get accomplished. And it's all, in very bite-sized pieces, so you're not overwhelmed. And we have the ACA, there's a lot of upcoming webinars that we provide on an ongoing basis, again, that are free to you. And so here are some different ones that are coming up, and we have them always just ongoing and, free to join. So we encourage you to do that. And thank you, Robert. I really enjoyed our time together and hope people found value in that. And I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for being on. We appreciate it. We work, for all those attendees, we work closely with the SBDC offices across the state. They're a great partner of ours, and they provide some great service. Again, they're no-cost counseling, and they are available all over the state in every county. So I want to share a story to tie in with Nancy's presentation today. In a previous company I was at, I worked closely with franchisees, and oftentimes they would look at buying a business to then convert to our franchise brand standards. And oftentimes, and I can think of one particular, the franchisee sent me the financials of the company, the business he was looking at buying. And as I was going through them, they were not making sense. He was being told by the owner, oh no, it makes this kind of profit, but the financial statements didn't add up. And so as we were going back and forth, there were a lot of things that the current owner was just assuming in profitability or pay that owner was taking, and it wasn't matching up right. And so it was one of those situations where the owner was asking far more for the business than what it was worth. And it may have been able to show that worth on paper if that owner had spent time in advance preparing their books correctly for a sale. So it would show everything in its proper place, in the proper categories, and show the real profitability of the business.
Yeah, and Robert, what happens is buyers get scared. They start losing faith. They're like, you have to be able to back up what you're saying. If you want 700,000, you got to be able to show that you're worth 700. And if it's all gray and fuzzy, you're going to lose that buyer, and you're certainly not going to get a lender. It's got to be really clear, and that happens quite a bit.
Yeah. And so I'm also a firm believer in many businesses can look at succession planning. So instead of closing the business or selling to somebody that might be from out of state or somewhere else, you may have loyal employees that would be more than happy to take it over time, and you can work something out. So there's lots of options. I'm grateful that Nancy's able to come on and talk about those and talk about ways to prepare you as you're selling your business. So thank you very much, Nancy. We don't see any other questions in there. So with that, we'll give everybody about 5 to 8 minutes back of their day before your next meeting at 10 o'clock if you have one. Thank you for joining us. And again, this presentation is being recorded. It will post it on our website, and the materials, the slide deck, will be available as well. So we appreciate everybody joining us today. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. And until then, everybody have a great rest of the week and weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.